Nah, they was trying to get rough with Caitlin, especially Chennedy.
Goes around to
Hey,
drives baseline.
and they definitely was trying. They was trying to get at Caitlin. Look out. Ooh.
She caught that fingertip in the eye.
Or like it hurt it. Oh, yeah.
Kind of swatted at Caitlin. Did you intend to hit her in the eye?
They really,
at the point where you accept it.
They really asked her, did she meant to do that?
Just let them hit you. Be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head. And know it's coming. I think at this point, like, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
Caitlin Clark's arrival
she said, I don't know, I guess. She just said, fuck it. I like that attitude, though.
And experts, as the brightest star of college basketball,
I
now
like
shines
that,
a new light on the
she
women's
like, they can come at me. I
professional
don't care. I'm
league.
still going
However,
to light them up for 35. Fuck is you talking about?
While this kind of treatment is typical for rookies stepping into the big leagues, with Clark, everything has been heightened, leading to an unprecedented level of trash
for
talk.
sure. Everything is definitely
However,
heightened,
her
'cause she's
rivals are
definitely in the
quickly learning
spotlight.
that
So every
poking the
time
bear might not be the
something
best
happen-
idea.
Nah, for sure.
Increasingly, those who have dared to disrespect her find themselves on the wrong end of a revenge game, and when bigger, more experienced players try
like
to
it
push her
hurt it.
around.
Ooh,
The
it like
list of
it hurt
Caitlin
it.
Clark's haters includes
That's
players
like
of
it hurt
different
it.
profiles, ranging from fellow rookies to aging superstars.
Damn.
Dana Evans of the Chicago
Dana
Sky is a
Evans.
fiery guard who makes up for lack of size by competing very hard and never giving up on the play. When her team faced Clark and the Indiana
think I know
Fever
her.
in a WNBA regular season game, the diminutive point guard standing at just 5'6" felt the need to show the rookie that no easy points are given in the pro league. That's what any competitor would try to do, but unfortunately, Evans crossed the line between playing tough defense and engaging in a street fight. Just take a look at this collision that caused a lot of hot emotions among players from both teams. As Caitlin drove around her and approached the basket, Dana Evans locked elbows with the rookie and basically crashed her into a waiting defender, the stout Chennedy Carter. More about her in a minute. The result was a human sandwich where Clark was literally smashed by both opponents and was lucky to avoid serious injury. That wasn't all, as some choice words were said that the microphones didn't pick up. This highly emotional flare-up might have shaken up the confidence of a lesser player, but for Clark, it merely provided some extra motivation to get back at her tormentor by scoring at will. Here is what unfolded in the minutes after the foul.
Buckets.
Swish, swish, and swish.
Swish,
it's
swish,
clear
and
that Clark
swish.
is not easily intimidated and that she is more than willing to
Clark a
endure
bucket.
some
That little
physical
shit ain't
pain to
doing
prove her worth as a basketball player. Instead of
Gotta
looking
get a
for
motherfucker more
payback in the
motivated.
form of physical altercation, she simply took control of the game and reminded everyone why she is one of the most feared players with the ball in her hands. The Chicago Sky wanted to bait her into losing her cool, but ended up losing the game in part due to ill-advised fouls on Clark. WNBA players are not chirping at Caitlin Clark only after they get frustrated with her offensive feats. They are frequently objecting to her defensive plays too. Despite criticizing her for being soft and unprepared for physical contact, Clark also gets the heat when she starts applying the same kind of physicality that she is routinely subjected to. One situation where that was abundantly clear was her run-in with Kalia Copper, a high-scoring wing playing for the Phoenix Mercury. After her drive to the basket was stopped by a foul committed by Clark, Copper immediately started talking trash and attempted to get in Clark's face. While the situation never deteriorated to the level that would endanger the players, it serves as a good example of the double standards that Caitlin has to live with every night.
I know double standard, bro. It's basketball. Each player should get mad whenever they get like, bro, it's basketball.
In the heat of the moment. Any basketball coach would tell you that when you need to commit a foul, you should make sure the opponent doesn't score, and that's really all that Caitlin Clark did on that play. Apparently, Kalia Copper didn't think so, and considered the contact to be excessive to the point of being dirty. Her reaction is quite forceful, and she needed to be separated from Clark, who remained cool and merely retorted it was just a foul before walking away to avoid further conflict. While we can't really judge what was on Copper's mind when she reacted to the foul, it's fair to ask whether the identity of her opponent played a role, and whether she would have started talking so aggressively had someone else fouled her. In her usual manner, Caitlin decided to let her game do the talking. Despite all the provocations, she refused to change her approach and played a steady game that greatly contributed to another Fever victory in front of the home fans. The score remained close well into the final quarter, but Clark and her teammates never let the Mercury mount a comeback. When it was time to seal the deal, Caitlin skillfully navigated through a bunch of double teams and unselfishly passed the ball to open teammates rather than trying to be a hero and win all by herself. Her final assist of the night was truly a thing of beauty. She is literally toying with the defense and has full awareness of where everyone is on the court and who will get open if she attacks the basket. It's somewhat surprising that some of the biggest trash talkers against Caitlin Clark are veteran players who should know better, but nevertheless get caught in a moment and display poor sportsmanship. Las Vegas Aces guard Alicia Clark falls into this category since she is a 3-time WNBA champion, 3 ex-Israeli League champion, and the reigning 6th Women of the Year in WNBA. At the mature age of 37, she has no business doling out cheap shots to rookies. But during a match against Indiana Fever, she was so concerned about Caitlin Clark scoring on her that she simply whacked her on the head.
She was trying to block the shot.
Presents her in a really bad light.
I ain't gonna lie, she was trying to block the shot.
The Fever getting their first win last night in Los Angeles. That's got to be pretty tough, I would think, on Caitlin to just really.
And she should definitely be ashamed.
She hit the ball first, so I think that's a block to me.
Not only did Alicia Clark commit a type of foul that shouldn't be a part of the game at all,
she
but after being
hit the ball
called for it,
first.
she runs away in a fit of rage, as to imply that she blocked the shot cleanly.
She
That's
did.
total nonsense. You can literally see Caitlin's head bob back and forth.
Bro,
after
if she
the
hit
impact.
the ball
so
first,
Alicia
that's
had
a
to
block.
be aware that she made contact. Acting all surprised and angry
I guess,
about the
bro.
ref's
I watch
call
basketball.
feels totally disingenuous. And honestly,
Caitlin Clark would
it
take
is
some
more
hard
befitting a
shots
rookie
this
than a
year, but
seasoned
that
veteran
right
with a ton
there,
of
that was a
hardware
block
in her
for
trophy
bro.
case.
Right.
Again, it's hard to believe that she would have behaved like that had any other player been the victim of her irresponsible foul. But since there is an underlying animosity against Caitlin Clark across the league, she couldn't just raise her hand and apologize after the fact.
Bro,
Since somebody has to act as an adult in this situation, Caitlin Clark took that responsibility upon herself. As you could see in the previous clip, she just made sure her eye was okay, and then went into a huddle to prepare for the continuation of play. No drama, no chasing Alicia Clark around the court, no pretending to be street tough. She took the foul in stride and went straight back to playing basketball. If anything, the foul served only to wake her up and help sharpen her focus, as she was not having the best game before she was hit. Afterwards, she picked up the pace and started putting the ball into the basket with much improved efficiency. Here is how she looked for the remainder of the match against the Aces.
That's a different game, bro.
Watch this screen, and then
that is a different game, bro.
Her repertoire
gonna play
of
a
slick
different
passes
game
and
inside
deep
the video.
shots
Like,
was
we don't
on
know
full
this is a different
display,
game.
and she finished with a double-double again with 13 points and 11
Yo,
assists.
y'all niggas be funny
The scoring
in
was a
these
bit
videos.
under her average,
Bro,
and it
Caitlin
wasn't
tough,
enough
bro.
to
I
avert
think
a
Caitlin
loss
tough,
to a
but stop
dominant
doing it
Aces
like people
team that
can't
is
trash
currently
talk her
sitting
when
in
she can't
second
trash talk
place in the
people.
Western
Bro,
Conference
let them
and
trash
features
talk.
the
Let
last
them.
year's
I like
MVP
it,
in
bro.
Aja
Let's
Wilson.
stop.
That's why we
doing it.
can't say that Caitlin Clark truly avenged this foul just yet. Seattle Storm is another team that decided to put Clark to a test and ended up paying dearly for this mistake.
Yeah, talking
During a
that
game
shit
against
to her.
Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, multiple players tried some roughhouse tactics in a futile bid to slow Clark's momentum. One player in particular acted in a way that's not tolerated even on a neighborhood playground, let alone in a professional game broadcast to a national audience. Storm shooting guard Victoria Vivians, who suited up for the Fever until last year, took exception to Clark's offensive onslaught and started talking trash, while the two were getting back on defense after another deep three by Clark. The scene looked quite ugly.
He said, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you.
Even worse, if not for Vivian's teammates, who promptly got between her and Clark to prevent an escalation. The home crowd at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse reacted quite loudly to Vivian's attempt to rattle the local hero, but the passions eventually cooled down. One person that wasn't particularly incensed, that would be Caitlin herself, who calmly walked away from all the ruckus and went straight to her coach. Since the incident happened during the second quarter with Seattle ahead by 6 points, there was plenty of time left for Clark to rally her troops and turn the game around. She did that in admirable fashion, and the game became quite one-sided the rest of the way. Let's take a look at some of Caitlin's best moments from the showdown against Victoria Vivians and the Seattle Storm. Clark basically did everything she could to dominate the game. Drives to the basket, shots from several feet behind the three-point line, even crafty defensive plays that resulted in steals. When it was all said and done, Clark racked up 23 points and 9 assists compared to 0 points in 9 minutes by Vivians. More importantly, the Fever won by nearly 20 points despite coming into the game significantly below Seattle in the standings. While the game was fought very closely in the first half, the outcome was never in doubt after Clark flipped the switch and lifted the team onto her shoulders. That should be enough to teach Storm players not to try messing with Caitlin's mind, but it remains to be seen whether they learned the lesson. Since the two teams play in different conferences and have no regular season games left, their next matchup likely won't materialize until next season. Diana Taurasi is one of the most decorated players in the women's game, a legendary playmaker that has been the golden standard for point guard play in her generation. With 3 WNBA championships and an MVP award to her name, she has the bona fides to comment on anything in the game that she finds worthy of her attention. Still, she seems to forget that she is at the back back end of her illustrious career,
So,
and that she can't
she's
hold the
the
mantle
GOAT.
for too
What
much
is you talking
longer.
about, bro?
Her reaction to the arrival of a much-hyped rookie class headlined by Caitlin Clark was understandable, but the mojo Taurasi is displaying doesn't really match her actual skills at this point. Here is how she welcomed the young phenom to the league when she was doing media rounds before the WNBA season started.
Reality is coming.
Okay.
You know, there's levels to this thing, and that's
It's
just like
definitely
we all
levels.
went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're gonna see it on this side, where you know
I think that was facts though. She averaged 15
but you're gonna come
in the
with
first
some
half of the
grown women
season.
that have been playing
Averaged
professional
like
basketball
20
for a long
something in the
time.
second half.
While Diana's
you know?
words don't appear to be too malicious, she is very confident that she is still head and shoulders above the rookie. That might have been true a decade ago when Taurasi was
No, I
still
don't
in her
think she
prime.
says-
But at 42 years
Nah, I don't
old,
think she
isn't
said that,
exactly in a
Brody.
position to threaten young players with a dose of reality.
I don't think
the
she
gap
said
between
that, Brody.
perception and
I'm gonna keep it
reality
100.
became obvious for everyone to see
You just-
once it was
you
time for
reaching out,
Diana
buddy.
Taurasi to meet Caitlin Clark on the basketball court and match up with her directly. A couple months later, she had the chance to do that, but things didn't exactly go to plan. Here is how Clark torched her in their first official WNBA meeting, which ended in a
Torched the
resounding
goof
win
ass.
for the Indiana Fever squad.
Nah, I ain't gonna
Caitlin
lie,
Clark
I think she-
just missed a triple-double, finishing with 15 points, 12 assists, and 9 rebounds.
almost a
While
triple-dub?
Taurasi did score 19 points for the Phoenix Mercury, she was unable to lead her team to victory and basically had to eat her words. Clark's brilliance was on full display, and her assists total proves that she refused to get caught up in an individual battle and looked to find her teammates whenever the defense overacted to the threat of her shooting. While Mercury has done its share of hating, no team has beefed with Caitlin Clark more
the
than the Chicago Sky,
Sky. Oh,
and there are a couple
man.
of players who willingly took the villain role in this war of nerves. One of them is Chennedy Carter,
Yo,
a rugged and
gonna lie.
uncompromising player who
Yo,
likes
she
to be the
pushed and
enforcer
said,
for her team,
"Bitch."
and sometimes goes
That
too
was
far in her
crazy.
desire to deter opponents from going into the paint. Carter is a good player, but her antics often overshadow real basketball qualities and put her in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Much has been said about her flagrant foul on Caitlin Clark that occurred during
Yeah,
a
I
dead
ain't gonna
ball,
lie.
and it remains one of the most glaring examples of unsportsmanlike actions against the rookie.
We here
Let's
for
look
it.
at that
I'm here
infamous
for
clip
it.
once
I love
again.
it.
Well, the question is, will they call
She
it
said you a bitch.
unnecessary? Kennedy
You
Carter.
said you was a bitch.
This
And
happened
pushed her.
right after Caitlin made a big three-pointer, so Chennedy Carter was clearly frustrated and found a terrible way to show it.
Well,
This
no,
is
that's
even
not
a
what happened.
basketball play,
It happened
so you
after
can't
Carter
justify it with
actually
any logical
Carter.
reason.
Caitlin scored and
It
Carter
looks like a clear
scored.
attempt at physical
And then that
intimidation,
happened.
something that
This
we don't
nigga
see
capping.
often on basketball courts in men's or women's competition in modern times. She was whistled for a flagrant foul on the play, giving Clark an opportunity to score additional points from the free throw line and ultimately hurting her own team. The Sky lost that game and was eventually swept 3-0 in the season series against Fever. So her effort to get Clark out of her rhythms
thought Chicago
didn't exactly
won the
bring
game.
any
I don't
positive
know.
result. While
Might be
Carter was
tweaking.
relatively diplomatic and civil in her post-game comments and denied having ill feelings towards Clark, her violent act still earned her the title of Caitlin Hater on the internet.
Of course.
A wiser girl would have tried to keep quiet for a while, but obviously Carter isn't very good at controlling her emotions and handling upsetting outcomes. A few months after her infamous shove of Caitlin Clark, Carter did another questionable thing to provide fuel for those who believe she is resentful towards the young sensation. This time, the trigger was a list of top WNBA players released by ESPN, which has Caitlin Clark ranked a dozen spots above Carter. Instead of congratulating those who earned a higher ranking, Carter published a very bitter post on social media. How I average less minutes and my stats top in the league, but I am at the bottom.
Facts.
This
I
isn't
think,
adding
bro,
up.
I'm not.
The
I
hate
think
be
Kenny
so
Carter's one of
obvious.
the ones.
Carter
That's
wrote
just
on
me.
her
She
official
top 10.
Twitter account. She didn't mention Caitlin Clark by name, but her insistence that she has the best stats in the league is nothing short of delusional. For comparison, Carter was at the time averaging 16.9
Yo,
points
with less
and 2.8
minutes.
assists
With less
to
minutes.
go with 1.4 steals
With less
per game,
minutes, brother.
while Clark had 17.9
Don't
points,
do that
league-leading
with Kennedy,
8.3
brother. I
assists,
love Caitlin,
and
brother. Don't act
1.4
like Kennedy
steals per
trash.
game. On stats alone,
Caitlin better,
ESPN is
for sure.
totally justified for ranking Caitlin higher
Nah,
than her
Caitlin
older
definitely
foe,
better than Kenny
and the same
Clark.
could be
But
said
Kenny
for
Carter
other
should have been
WNBA
24. That
stars
shit was
that
cap.
appear near the top of this list.
Kenny Carter
As
should have
much
been
as
at least
Carter
top
seems to
15.
begrudge Clark, she is not even her biggest adversary on the Sky team. That would be Angel Reese, who has a history of taunting Caitlin dating back to their college days. The two were competing for the Rookie of the Year award, which adds another layer to a soap opera that's been going on for years. Angel at least deserves credit for being honest about her provocations on the court and rivalry with Clark.
Yes.
Plus, she is a bit more sophisticated when talking with the media. Here is a very interesting quote from her on the topic of
Plus,
where
she
the
been doing
limits
this
of
shit since
trash
high
talk
school,
should
bro.
be.
Understand, like, if they think it's personal, but when I get between the lines, if friends or anything, if my teammate,
Yeah, bro, it's trash talk.
team,
like,
I'm gonna be competitive. I'm gonna talk trash.
I don't get people want to be added extra shit like it's personal. No,
off the court, we're gonna
it's
keep it
basketball.
fun.
We gotta talk
I think
trash.
that's a part of the game, and just trying to normalize like trash talking is okay, but not taking it personal off the court.
Thank you.
And obviously that
What's wrong
has
with
become a
y'all?
thing, and people are just trying to make it seem like it's something. But I love Caitlin, and I love her game, and I admire everything that she's done.
Okay, that makes some sense, or it would have had Reese stayed on talk only. She did not. And during a game against Caitlin Clark, she committed a flagrant foul that has drawn a media firestorm of epic proportions.
That's like it hurt.
While this foul admittedly was within the flow of the game,
Damn.
it resulted in another hit to the head for Caitlin. We can see how the transgression transpired, so you can form your own opinion whether it was motivated by Angel's hate for the Indiana guard.
I ain't gonna lie.
As usual, Caitlin was unperturbed and simply went on as if nothing happened,
That might have been
fixing her headband
personal.
and high-fiving her coach. We wonder,
That might
however,
have
if
been
she might have
personal.
made a little mental note that she has a debt to settle with the Chicago Sky. She approached the next game against Chicago with some extra urgency and came pretty close to a triple-double with 23 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. Let's enjoy Clark's highlights from this game, which the Fever ultimately won. As you can see, there is plenty of evidence that trash-talking Caitlin Clark just doesn't work. The girl has ice in her veins and doesn't waste
definitely
any
ice in her veins,
headspace
but bro,
pondering insults and hits inflicted on her
I'm
by
keeping
her
it 100.
opponents. She stood her ground and discredited
I'm
many
keeping it
of her
100,
haters.
bro.
But
Caitlin gonna be tough. She gonna be one of the greatest players to ever live. She just one of the ones, bro. It's gonna be hard to stop her. So trash talking, I think you need to trash talking. If you want to get better, you want to show your skills. Trash talking, then give her buckets. You can't trash talking and be trash. No, you gotta trash talking and then give her buckets as she giving you buckets, bro. That's how you get your name out there. Keeping 100 with you, but look, man, like, comment, subscribe, bro. Y'all want to see more Caitlin Clark vids like this, man? Let me know in the comments, man. I got y'all no cap.